I never thought I'd hear those words from my own family. You're too old to visit anymore. I still remember exactly how they said it. Not in anger, not even in a whisper. It was one of those moments where the room feels colder all of a sudden, even if the sun is shining through the window. It was my daughter-in-law, Melissa, who said it first. She was standing in the kitchen of their new house. Big, modern, spotless. Everything you'd expect from the kind of life my son, Daniel, always wanted. She had that polite smile people use when they're trying to sound kind, but want you to understand something serious. "Mom," she said, wiping her hands on a towel. "You know we love you, but it's just, things are different now. The kids are busy. The house is small and, well, you're getting older. It's a lot to manage." I thought she was joking at first. I even laughed. But then Daniel wouldn't meet my eyes. He just stood there, pretending to check something on his phone. My heart sank. I asked, "What do you mean, I'm too old to visit? I only come by once a week. I bring cookies for the kids. I sit on the porch and talk to them. That's all," Melissa sighed. "It's not that we don't appreciate it, but last time you forgot your cane, and you almost tripped on the steps. The kids got scared, and we think it might be better if you rest at home. We'll call. We'll FaceTime. FaceTime. That's the word they used. You spend your whole life raising a child, holding them when they're sick, helping them with their first heartbreak, paying for braces, worrying through nights when they don't come home on time. And one day, your reward is a phone screen." I sat down slowly, my knees shaking a little. "So, you don't want me to come by anymore?" Daniel finally looked up. His face was tired. "It's not that, Mom. We just think it's safer this way. You could fall. The kids have soccer and dance and all that. We'll come visit you soon, I promise." But he didn't promise with his eyes. His eyes said it was final. I nodded, pretending to understand. "All right, if that's what you think is best." Melissa smiled, relieved like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. When I left that afternoon, I didn't cry right away. I walked down their perfect concrete driveway, holding my small purse, my sweater folded over my arm, like everything was fine. But when I got in my car and looked at the house one last time, I saw the curtains move. One of the grandkids peeking out to wave. Little Ella, the youngest, smiled and pressed her tiny hand against the glass. I waved back. Then she disappeared from view, and that's when the tears came. It wasn't loud crying, not the kind you see in movies. It was quiet, the kind that slips down your face and makes you taste salt in your mouth. When I got home, the house felt colder than usual. Empty. The ticking of the old clock was the only sound. I put the cookies I'd baked that morning, chocolate chip, Ella's favorite, on the counter. I looked at them for a long time before finally wrapping them up and putting them in the freezer. Maybe I'd give them to the neighbors' kids later. Days turned into weeks. No calls, no visits, just silence. I kept checking my phone, hoping maybe they'd forgotten what they said, that maybe Melissa had been in a bad mood, or Daniel had realized he'd gone too far. But each day was the same. Every morning, I'd sit by the window with my coffee, watching the cars go by, pretending I was waiting for someone, even though I knew no one was coming. Sometimes I'd look at old photo albums, birthdays, graduations, Thanksgiving dinners where the whole house smelled like turkey and laughter. There was one picture I kept stopping at. Daniel, maybe 10 years old, sitting on my lap, grinning from ear to ear while holding a toy airplane. I traced his face with my finger and whispered, "Where did that boy go?" I didn't want to feel bitter. I told myself they were just busy. Maybe they really did worry about me falling or getting hurt. Maybe this was their way of protecting me. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just about that. It was about time. Time that changes everything. One evening, my neighbor, Carol, stopped by with a casserole. She's around my age, but her kids still visit every weekend. They mow her lawn, fix her light bulbs, bring their grandkids over to bake cookies. She asked me, "Haven't seen Daniel's car here in a while. Everything all right? I forced a smile. Oh yes, they're just busy. You know how it is. Work, kids, life. She nodded kindly, but I could tell she didn't believe me. That night, I ate the casserole alone and turned on the TV. But the noise didn't help. I muted it and sat there in silence. It's strange how quiet can be the loudest sound when you're alone. The next week, I tried calling Daniel. The phone rang and rang. Then voicemail. I left a message. Hi, sweetheart. Just checking in. Hope everyone's okay. I made that apple pie you like. Maybe you could come by sometime and get a slice. He never called back. I tried again a few days later. This time, the voicemail box was full. That's when it hit me. They didn't just mean too old to visit. They meant I didn't fit into their world anymore. Still, I held on to hope. I told myself, maybe Christmas? Maybe then they'll want me there. So, when December came, I baked cookies, wrapped small gifts for the grandkids, and even got Daniel and Melissa a framed photo of the whole family from last year. I remember dusting the frame twice, making sure it looked perfect. I dressed in my best sweater. The red one Daniel said once made me look festive. I waited by the window, watching the snow fall softly, but the phone never rang. I went to bed that night with the lights still on, just in case they changed their minds and came by. They didn't. The next morning, there was a knock on the door. For a second, my heart leapt. I ran to open it. It was the mailman. He handed me a small package. It was a Christmas card from Daniel's family. The picture on the front was of them standing by their tree, all smiling, wearing matching sweaters. Even the dog had a bow. Inside it said, "Merry Christmas, Mom. Hope you're staying warm. Love, Daniel and Melissa." No note from the kids. No, we miss you. No invitation. Just a photo and a generic message. I set the card on the mantel and stared at it for a long time. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. I whispered, "So this is what family becomes." That night, I didn't sleep much. I thought about all the times I'd told Daniel I was proud of him, all the sacrifices I'd made when he was growing up, the jobs I worked, the nights I stayed up sewing his school costumes, packing lunches, waiting up when he was late. And now I was too old to sit at the dinner table, too old to bake cookies, too old to belong. But deep down, a small part of me refused to accept that. I wasn't ready to be erased just yet. The next morning, I woke up early, put on my coat, and drove to the park near their house. I just wanted to see them. Not talk. Not disturb anyone. Just to see that they were okay. I parked far down the street so they wouldn't notice. From there, I could see the kids playing in the yard. Ella was chasing Bubbles, laughing. Daniel came out carrying a box, talking to Melissa. They looked happy, and I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't be, because even though they'd shut me out, I still loved them more than anything. I sat there for almost an hour, just watching, and when I finally drove away, I whispered to myself, "You're still their mom. Even if they forget, you're still their mom." That thought, as small as it was, kept me from breaking, because love, real love, doesn't vanish when the visits stop. It just changes shape. It's strange, really, how silence can feel so loud. When you live alone long enough, you start to notice it breathing. It fills the cracks between the walls, the hum of the refrigerator, the slow tick of the clock that sounds louder after sunset. Sometimes I think the quiet became my closest companion, but it wasn't always that way. Before they said those words, "You're too old to visit anymore." I used to live for the weekends. Every Friday I'd pack a small overnight bag. I'd make sure to bring my old sweater, the one my daughter used to call Grandma's Cloud, because it was soft and smelled like lavender. I'd bake cookies or a pie, something simple, and then take the early bus out to their house. The kids would wait by the window, waving when they saw me walking up the path. My son-in-law would open the door, and for a moment it always felt like coming home. Those visits were my light. The laughter, the warmth, the chaos of family life. I used to soak it all in like sunlight. I wasn't there to be a burden. I'd sweep the floors, help fold the laundry, tell the kids stories from when their mother was small. Sometimes I'd even slip a few dollars into their piggy banks when no one was looking, just to see their eyes light up when they found it. Then one day, something shifted. It was subtle at first. A missed call, a delayed reply. My daughter started saying, "Mom, this weekend's a bit busy. Maybe next time?" Next time became the phrase I started to fear. It was a soft rejection, hidden behind politeness. I told myself they were just busy. Young families always are. But deep down I felt it. The space between us was widening. The last time I went, it wasn't even planned. I'd baked an apple pie, her favorite, and thought I'd surprise them. I called first. No answer. But I took the bus anyway. When I reached the house, I could see cars in the driveway, laughter spilling through the windows. I smiled, thinking maybe there was a small gathering, and I could join in for a while. But when I knocked, it was my son-in-law who opened the door. He looked surprised. Not happy, not angry, just surprised. "Oh, hey, we didn't expect you, Mom," he said, glancing behind him. My daughter came up behind him, holding a dish towel, and when she saw me, something flickered in her eyes. Not joy, not warmth, more like discomfort. "Mom, we're just having a few friends over tonight. It's not really a good time," she said softly. I remember how the air changed. It was like someone had opened a window in winter, cold and sharp. I laughed it off, said I just came to drop off the pie. I held it out to her and she took it, hesitating. Then she said, "Thank you. I'll call you tomorrow, okay?" But she didn't. That was the last time I went over. A few weeks later, I got a call. My daughter's voice was calm, almost rehearsed. She said, "Mom, we've been meaning to talk. It's just that it's hard when you come by so often. The kids have school, we're both working long hours, and it's a lot. We think it's best if you take it easy at home for a while." I was quiet. I didn't understand at first. I asked, "You mean you don't want me to visit?" She hesitated. Then she said the words that still echo in my mind. Words I never thought I'd hear from my own child. "You're too old to visit anymore, Mom." I don't think she meant them cruelly, but that didn't make them hurt any less. Too old. I had never felt those words until that moment. They wrapped around me like a shroud. Too old to walk up the porch steps? Too old to hug my grandchildren? Too old to sit at the dinner table where I once fed her every meal she grew up on? After we hung up, I sat there for a long time, staring at the empty kitchen. My tea had gone cold. The pie dish was still in the sink, from the one I'd made last week. Hoping I might bring it over again someday, I thought about calling her back, to tell her I understood, that maybe she was right. But my heart wouldn't let me. I knew if I called, I'd cry, and I didn't want her to hear that. So I stayed quiet. I told myself it was just a phase, that they'd come around, that maybe one day they'd need me again. I'd be ready, waiting, like I always was. But the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. The seasons changed. Leaves fell, snow came and went, flowers bloomed again, and I never heard from them. My phone stayed silent, except for the telemarketers. My birthday came and went, no card, no call. I started to feel invisible, like a ghost still living in the same house, watching the world move on without me. I still kept their photos on the mantle. My granddaughter in her graduation gown. My grandson holding the puppy I helped them pick out years ago. Sometimes I'd talk to the pictures. "You're growing up so fast," I'd say softly. "I hope you're happy." I'd go to the grocery store and see families together. Mothers and daughters shopping, laughing about which brand of cereal to buy. And something inside me would ache. I'd smile at them. But sometimes when they weren't looking, I'd have to turn away. There's a quiet grief in being forgotten while you're still alive. It's not like death. No one sends flowers, no one mourns. They just stop remembering you exist. And yet, I still love them. Every one of them. That's the hardest part. Love doesn't fade just because time does. It lingers, patient, even when it's no longer wanted. Sometimes, late at night, I pick up my phone, scroll through old messages, and hover over my daughter's number. I think about calling, about saying, "Hi, sweetheart, it's Mom. I just wanted to hear your voice." But I never press send. I'm afraid of hearing that same distant tone again. Polite, cold, detached. So instead I whisper into the silence, hoping somehow the words reach her heart. I'm still here. I never stop being your mother. The mornings are always the hardest. That first moment when I open my eyes and forget, just for a second, that the world has gone quiet. The house feels colder than it used to, even though the thermostat says it's the same. I used to wake up to messages, a "Good morning, Mom," or a photo of my grandkids at school. Now, the only sound that greets me is the distant rumble of the garbage truck and the whisper of the wind through the blinds. But habits, they keep you alive. I still make 2 cups of coffee every morning. Old habits die hard. One for me, one for whoever used to sit across the table. Sometimes my daughter, sometimes my husband, who's been gone nearly 10 years now. I stir both cups out of reflex, watch the steam rise, then pour one down the sink. I know it's foolish, but somehow it feels respectful, like honoring a life that used to be full. After breakfast, I water the plants, not because they need it every day, but because it gives me something to nurture. The geranium by the window has grown lopsided, leaning toward the light like it's yearning for something too. Maybe we're not so different, the plant and I, both reaching for warmth that doesn't visit as often anymore. Sometimes I talk to it. "You're doing good, sweetheart," I tell it. "You just keep hanging in there." I suppose that's what I tell myself too, without realizing it. It's funny how small moments can carry you through the emptiest days. The mailman's nod when he drops off letters, the neighbor's dog who runs up to my fence wagging his tail, as if saying, "Hey, I see you." There's a deep comfort in being seen, even for a fleeting second. Once a week, I take the bus into town, more for the ride than the errands. The driver knows me now. He always says, "Morning, Miss Helen," like clockwork. I like sitting by the window, watching people live their lives. The mothers rushing with strollers, teenagers with earbuds, couples holding hands. I try not to envy them, I just remember sometimes I stop by the old church. I used to go every Sunday, but it's been a while. Not because I lost faith, I just lost the crowd. People change, faces fade, pews empty out. But that little church still smells the same. Wax candles, wood polish, faint perfume from the hymn books. I light a candle for my husband, sometimes for myself. There was a time when my family would join me there. My daughter sitting beside me, my grandchildren fidgeting through the sermon. I'd whisper, "Shh," and they'd giggle. Now when I walk in, no one saves me a seat. Still, I find peace there. There's something about that quiet light through the stained glass that feels like forgiveness. Not from others, but from life itself. I think a lot about forgiveness these days, about how it's not always something we give to others, but something we have to give ourselves. I've spent so long wondering what I did wrong, what I said, what I didn't say, that I almost forgot I'm allowed to stop blaming myself. Maybe it wasn't me. Maybe time just wears people down, the way the ocean softens even the sharpest stones. Still, there are nights when the memories come in waves. I'll be sitting in my armchair, reading, and suddenly I'll remember something so small it hurts. The way my daughter used to braid my hair when she was little, or how she'd crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, whispering, "Don't let the thunder get me, Mama." And now, she doesn't even pick up the phone. The ache of that. It doesn't scream anymore. It hums, steady and low, like a scar that still feels the weather. But there's something else I've learned to feel alongside it. Gratitude. Because even if they've forgotten me now, there was a time when they hadn't. There were years when love lived loud in this family, and that's worth remembering. A few months ago, I got a postcard in the mail. It wasn't from my daughter. It was from my granddaughter, Emily. The handwriting was neat but unsure. The kind of careful writing kids do when they're trying to make something perfect. It said, "Hi, Grandma, I miss your cookies. I hope you're okay. Mom says you're resting a lot. I love you, just that." A small square of paper with a heart drawn in the corner. But it was enough to make my whole week brighter. I carried that postcard around for days. In my purse, in my pocket, next to my heart. I must have read it 50 times. It reminded me that love doesn't die. It just gets lost sometimes, misplaced between busy schedules and grown-up responsibilities. Kids grow up, adults grow tired, and the world just spins faster than our hearts can keep up. But the love we plant, that never disappears. It just waits, patient and quiet, for someone to come looking again. I decided to write her back. I bought a card with sunflowers on the front. She used to love picking them from the little patch I had in my yard. I wrote, "My sweet Emily, I'm okay. I miss you too. The cookies are waiting for you whenever you're ready." I added a few stickers just like I used to, and mailed it the next day. I don't know if she ever got it. I never heard back, but it felt good to send it anyway, like reaching out into the dark, even if no one reaches back. At least I know I tried. The loneliness hasn't gone away. It's just changed its shape. It doesn't stab anymore. It lingers softly, like a song that's almost forgotten but never truly gone. Some days I even find comfort in it. It reminds me that I still care, that I'm still capable of love, even if no one sees it. Every so often I dream that they knock on my door. I open it, and there they are. My daughter holding flowers, my grandkids rushing in with hugs. I wake up with tears in my eyes, but they're not sad tears. They're the kind that say, maybe someday, because I still believe in someday. I still believe that hearts can change, that time can soften anger, that love can find its way home. It's strange how life keeps moving even when you feel like it shouldn't. The world doesn't pause just because your heart does. The sun still rises, the mail still comes, and people still go about their days as if nothing's missing. I used to resent that, the normalness of everything, but now I see it differently. Maybe the world keeps going to remind us that we're still part of it, whether anyone notices or not. A few weeks after Emily's postcard, I started taking short walks around the neighborhood. At first, it was just to get out of the house, to breathe something, other than the stale air of my living room. But soon, those walks became something I looked forward to. There's a little park about 6 blocks away. Nothing fancy. Just a few benches and a pond where ducks like to gather. I sit there most afternoons now, watching the water ripple and the kids play. There's a peace in watching people live. A young mother pushing her baby in a stroller. 2 older men playing chess under the tree. Teenagers laughing too loud. It's like watching all the pieces of life move together. Love, joy, struggle, hope, all in one frame. Sometimes I close my eyes and imagine my family there too. My daughter feeding the ducks. My grandkids running around the grass, calling out for me to watch. It's a sweet kind of ache. One afternoon, a boy about 10 years old came up to me at the park. He had a baseball in his hand and a shy smile. "Ma'am," he said, "can you throw this back?" I tossed it to him, though not very far. My arm isn't what it used to be. He laughed and said, "That's okay. You still got it." And just like that, we both smiled. For a moment, I didn't feel like someone the world had forgotten. I felt part of it again. The next time I saw him, he waved from across the field. "Hey, Miss Helen," he shouted. I hadn't told him my name, but I guess someone had. That small kindness. Just hearing my name out loud again. It meant more than I can explain. You don't realize how much power there is in being seen until you've gone too long without it. A simple hello or how are you can feel like sunlight after weeks of rain. At home, I started cooking again. Not out of necessity, but out of joy. For a long time, I'd been living off toast and soup, telling myself there was no point cooking for one. But one day I made a roast chicken. The smell filled the house, and for a moment it felt alive again. I set the table with my old dishes, lit a candle, and sat down by myself. I even said grace, something I hadn't done in years. "Thank you," I whispered, "for this moment, however small." And that's when it hit me. Maybe family isn't always blood. Maybe family is anyone or anything that keeps you from giving up on the world. The people at the park, the bus driver, the mailman, the neighbor who waves even when I forget to wave back. They're all part of something that keeps me standing. A few months later, the community center sent out flyers for a volunteer group. People who visit seniors living alone. I smiled when I saw it. The irony wasn't lost on me, but something inside me stirred. I picked up the phone and asked if they ever needed seniors to help too. The woman on the line sounded surprised. "Of course," she said. "We'd love that." So now, once a week, I visit a lady named Doris at the assisted living home down the road. She's 87, sharp as a tack, and loves to talk about her garden. She doesn't have much family either. We sit together, drinking tea, trading stories, and sometimes we just sit in silence. That silence feels different than the one at home. It feels shared, like we're both holding the weight of what was, but neither of us is holding it alone. She once told me, "You know, Helen, getting old isn't the sad part. It's watching the world forget how much we've lived." And she's right. We carry whole worlds inside us. Memories, lessons, laughter, and all we really want is someone to listen. After I started visiting Doris, I began to realize that I wasn't as forgotten as I thought. Maybe my family drifted away, but that didn't mean I had no purpose left. I could still love. I could still give. And sometimes giving is what brings life back into your own heart. Last Sunday, when I got back from the home, there was a small box on my porch. I wasn't expecting anything. Inside was a tin of cookies, chocolate chip, my favorite, and a note written in a familiar hand. "Dear Grandma, I asked Mom if we could visit you soon. She said she'd think about it. I hope she says yes. Love, Emily." I sat on the steps and cried, not because of sadness this time, but because of hope. That tiny glimmer I'd been holding on to for years flickered back to life. I don't know if they'll come. Maybe they won't. But that's okay, because I realized something. I can love them even from afar. I can forgive them without hearing an apology. I can live with the ache and still choose to find joy in the pieces of the world that haven't forgotten me. Every morning now, I still make 2 cups of coffee. One for me and one for whoever I'm missing. But I don't pour it down the sink anymore. I set it across from me and whisper, "Maybe one day." And then I take a sip, smile, and start my day. Because no matter how much life takes, I still have my heart. And that's enough. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop fighting what you can't change. It doesn't happen overnight. It sneaks up on you, like the morning light slipping through the curtains. One day you just wake up, and the weight you've been carrying feels softer, not gone but lighter. That's how I feel these days. I've stopped asking why they stopped calling, why they don't visit, why I wasn't enough to stay in their lives. The truth is, sometimes people grow in different directions, and the love you gave them doesn't fit the way it used to. And as much as that hurts, holding on to the hurt only makes it heavier. So now, I just let it pass through me, like wind through an open window. I still think about my family every single day. My son, my daughter-in-law, my grandkids. I can still see their faces as clear as ever. I can still hear the way my son laughed when he was little. How he'd run up to me with his muddy hands yelling, "Look, Mom, I can still picture Emily's tiny fingers gripping mine when she took her first steps. These are the memories that no distance, no silence can take away. Sometimes I wonder if they think about me too. Maybe when they drive past an old diner that looks like the one we used to visit, or when they smell apple pie baking in the oven. I'd like to believe that somewhere, in a quiet moment, they remember me with warmth and not regret. The nursing home they once said would be temporary has become my new world. At first, I hated it. I felt abandoned, left to fade away among strangers. But now I see that not all strangers stay strangers. Some of them become family in ways you never expect. There's Mary, who hums old country songs while knitting by the window. There's George, a retired mailman who tells the same joke every morning and still laughs like it's brand new. There's even little Sophie, the volunteer nurse's aide, who brings her dog on weekends so we can all have someone to pet. They've become my people, my small, steady circle of hearts that care. We celebrate birthdays together now. Nothing fancy, just cupcakes and music and laughter. Last month they surprised me with a cake that said, "To our favorite storyteller." I almost cried. It's funny, isn't it? The life you think is over sometimes just begins again, quietly, in the unlikeliest places. Every evening I sit by the window as the sun dips below the trees. The light turns everything golden. The chairs, the curtains, even the wrinkles on my hands. I hold my cup of tea and think, this moment is enough. The past may be filled with pain and loss, but the present, this simple, gentle present, still has beauty in it. And maybe that's what getting older really is, learning to find beauty in what remains. The other day, Emily called. Her voice was softer than I remembered. She said, "Grandma, we're thinking of visiting soon. Would that be okay?" I almost dropped the phone. "Of course, sweetheart," I said, my voice trembling. "You don't ever have to ask that. I don't know if they'll come this week or next month or maybe not at all, but the hope itself feels like company. It keeps my heart warm in ways words can't explain. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about freeing your heart from the weight of what they did, so you can still find peace in the time you have left. I've learned that the hard way, but I'm grateful I learned it at all. So here I am, still breathing, still smiling, still hoping. I may be old and I may be forgotten by some, but I am not invisible. I am not finished. There's still kindness in me to give, and stories in me to tell. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt like the world moved on without you, I want you to know, you still matter. Your love still echoes. Maybe not where you expected, but somewhere out there. It's touching someone's heart. And if your family has drifted away, don't let that stop you from loving. Love again anyway, in new ways, in small ways, in quiet ways. Because love doesn't run out. It only changes shape. So as I finish my tea tonight, I'll whisper a little prayer. Not for the past to come back, but for the courage to keep walking forward. With softness, with forgiveness, with hope. And if you've listened to my story all the way to the end, thank you. Really thank you. It means more than you'll ever know. If this story touched your heart, even just a little, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Maybe someone out there needs to hear it too. Maybe someone out there is sitting alone, wondering if they still matter. Share it for them. Because sometimes, a single story can remind someone they're not forgotten. And that's the greatest gift we can give.